Massachusetts received fund from American Recovery Act project.
Yes.
Is there anything put in place to monitor that the money or the funds that they distributed fairly?
Yes.
And that to avoid waste?
Yes.
And unnecessary overrun costs?
There is. Yes, and it was a requirement of the act that we have a great deal of transparency in the way the money was spent, and there is a website that's up and available. Anyone can access it, and you can follow every single dollar. You can even see what the competing bids were for a given project, who the winning bidder was, what the stage of the spend is and the investment, how many jobs were created. It's very, very transparent, and it's so good. It's so much information and such helpful information that we've decided to use that same level of transparency for the regular state budget as well. So when I signed the budget last week, it had a requirement in it that in future we bring that same kind of transparency right through the internet to every line item in the budget. And I'm very proud of that.
I think that's very good.
I think it's great. And it also enables citizens to hold us accountable.
Yes.
And that's the point, right? You want, this is not, you know, I'm a believer government is not some abstraction out there. It's us. It's you and me.
Yes.
And we all have to take some responsibility in it. And so when people say, you know, government is bad and all that, I always say, wait a minute, government is you and me. So let's make it reflect the best of who we are and the best of what we are.
In spite of the recent ruling on guns by the U.S. Supreme Court,
Yes.
what measures has your administration put in place regarding guns?
Well, you know, we've been trying to strike a balance between the how should I say it, the fair concerns of sportsmen and hunters, and the concerns I think we all have around public safety and the ease of getting guns for violent crime. There are just too many guns on the street. And one of the things that law enforcement have talked to us about is what they call straw purchases. Right now, under existing law, you or I, if we didn't have a criminal record, we could go and buy, you know, a box of guns. We can buy as many as we want. And we can, and sometimes what happens, not always, but sometimes what happens, is that those guns then turn from a lawful purchase into trafficking through criminal enterprise. And that's not something we want. And so we have said, listen, let's limit gun purchases to 1 per month. 12 guns a year. It's not unreasonable. One person, 1 gun per month. You can't buy in bulk anymore. We've gotten a lot of resistance from gun owners about that for reasons I don't fully understand. But they frequently make the argument that if you start here, then you're going to go down a slippery slope, and suddenly the lawful purchase and ownership of guns will be in jeopardy. I don't believe that's the case. I think we have to show the same kind of concern and urgency about the number of guns that are available to gangs and gangbangers around Boston and other cities. And we ought to show the same concern about 14-year-olds who are being shot dead right now, and the public's public safety concerns. So that is a proposal we've made. We've also proposed to do something called a dangerousness hearing. So if you use a gun in the course of a crime, and you've been charged with that crime, then a court could determine that you are too dangerous to be out on the street while you're waiting for trial, based on evidence. And if that conclusion is made, then you don't have people out there intimidating witnesses in advance of the trial. Those are a couple of measures that we have proposed. They are somewhat controversial because the gun owners are very, very, very well organized and they're pushing back hard. But we're trying to move that through the legislature right now.
Not just in this state. Immigration is another issue that's very hard.
Yes.
Considering what's going on in Arizona.
Yes.
And I thank God it's not here in Massachusetts. So at least people are still free to move around.
Yes.
A lot of immigrants, they have difficulty getting jobs.
Right.
even after they've obtained their education,
Right.
and they still have difficulty getting through the door.
Yes.
Is there something your office could do
Yes.
to help out? I'm not saying illegal immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking of people who are here legally
Yes.
that have spent so much money going to school.
Right. It's another very important question, because there is a mood out there in the country which is very concerning to me, and it has crept into Massachusetts, and I'm trying to watch it and respond to it thoughtfully. We have, 1 in 6 of our residents here in the Commonwealth are immigrants. A small, 14% of our residents here in the Commonwealth are immigrants. 1 in 6 of those are undocumented. And yet the focus on undocumented immigrants has raised the level of unwelcome, I think, for immigrants across the board, and that's a serious problem. I recognize and I accept that illegal immigration is a national problem, and it requires a national solution. And that means we have to have comprehensive immigration reform in the Congress of the United States. And in my own view, that has to be a blend of both, border control, but also a path to citizenship for people who are here and contributing and raising families, and on which, frankly, much of our economy relies. Here in the Commonwealth, I think what we have to do is set a tone to try to push back against that demagoguing that goes on now of all people who have a different accent, an unfamiliar name, an unfamiliar culture. And frankly, I think it's what contributes to the richness of the Commonwealth. And so lifting that up, instead of making it a positive thing, instead of making it a thing that pushes us apart, is part of the leadership opportunity that I have. And I have met with immigrant groups and ethnic groups that sometimes feel marginalized in ways that I think governors rarely have. I've sometimes been criticized for that. But, I ran to be governor of the whole Commonwealth, everybody. Not just the powerful, not just the folks in the center of political or civic life, but everybody in every corner, and maybe most especially the people who feel marginalized, but who need to understand that I see this and I see them as a part of a Commonwealth-wide community. So we have done a couple of policy things as well that reflect those values. We set in place something called a New Americans Agenda, a group of people who worked for a year to look at various existing policies and programs, and also how we communicate in ways and made 131 recommendations on how to set a better tone for newcomers here in the Commonwealth. I now have a plan from the Cabinet on how to implement those recommendations over the next several years, and you'll start to see more of that as we go forward. But personally, because I feel that the immigrant community has historically and does today contribute so much that's valuable and important to the whole of our Commonwealth, to a stronger Commonwealth, then one of the things I can do and I have done is use the bully pulpit. And I'll say just one other point, which basically means using the opportunities like this and other opportunities when I'm in public or speaking with the media to offer a different tone, a more positive tone, a more welcoming tone for newcomers here in the Commonwealth. We want you here. We want you to be a part of us. We want to learn from you. We want to be enriched by you, just as we have been for hundreds of years here in the Commonwealth by newcomers. And there's one other thing I would say. As long as I have anything to do about it or say about it, we will not have an Arizona-type law here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.